Can we now have Amy Hartnell, Projects Facilitator, Earthquake Disability Leadership Group?
Just a bit of furniture arranging. Afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Kia ora, I'm not Amy Hartnell. Ai o ki te rangi, ai o ki te whenua, ai o ki ngā tangata katoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. My name is Ruth Jones, I'm the chair of the EDLG, and Amy is absolutely our coordinator. I'm going to leave Amy to speak to the submission, only to say that as a disability community, we have worked hard with the City Council for the last 7 years, and we look forward to that continuing. We look forward to Christchurch being a really accessible city. We used to talk about the most accessible city. I hope we get there, and I hope that our contribution helps. I'm on the what's it saying? I'm on the fence about that at the moment, but I look forward to lots of good things happening. I know we have the Accessibility Charter, and I know that Amy's going to be talking about some moves that we're not so happy with. So yeah, it's a mixed bag for us, but we look forward to continuing to work with the council. Amy.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for the opportunity to speak today. As you'll see, our submission focuses on accessibility and applying an accessible lens along the long-term plan. While this focus is primarily on the physical and built environment, we truly believe that until disabled people can genuinely access places and spaces, community inclusion, participation and social connectedness cannot truly occur. We're extremely proud of launching the Accessibility Charter in Canterbury in collaboration with Barrier Free New Zealand Trust at the end of 2017. And as Ruth alluded to, we're obviously very pleased that the Christchurch City Council became a signatory of the Charter along with other key regeneration agencies. Given this commitment by the Council and Otakarua to the Charter, the announcement on Friday regarding the Metro Sports facility did come as a surprise. It also requires us to make an amendment to our submission on the long-term plan. It was announced on Friday that the Aquatic Sensory Experience, a water-based recreational opportunity designed for disabled people who have significant needs, must source its own external funding for fit-out. As highlighted in the Council Commission feasibility study, the addition of the sensory experience within a major recreation centre is a powerful signal of inclusion and integration. However, by applying a different funding model to the sensory experience suggests that recreational opportunities for disabled people are not valued on an equal basis to mainstream opportunities. So my question is, why is the Aquatic Sensory Experience being asked to source external funding for its fit-out when no other water-based components are being asked to do the same? The Council's long-term plan, 2018 to 28, outlines an additional 4 new aquatic facilities, Linwood, Hornby, New Brighton Hot Pools and Metro, on top of the current 4 indoor and another 4 outdoor aquatic opportunities, bringing the total to 12 facilities. However, only one of these facilities includes a space designed specifically for disabled people with complex needs. The long-term plan has allocated $221 million to either new or upgrading existing aquatic facilities over the next 10 years. The EDLG would like to add to our submission the recommendation that Council finds the funding to fit out the sensory experience and put value back into aquatic recreational experiences for disabled people. While the aquatic sensory experience is designed with the disabled community in mind, it also gives the general public the opportunity to experience the innovative way of interacting with water. As the aquatic sensory experience is a great initiative for everyone, we'd like to see it receive funding in the long-term plan. I think that's all. Does anyone have any?
I was just about to send Mary an email saying how much was the cost of that, because the decision that was made on Friday was that the government was prepared to obviously work with the amount of money that we could pull out of the budget for it, so that a decision could be made to proceed. The advice that we had from staff was that they are 100% confident of getting support for the provision of these, the sector is not being left to get that on their own. So where the money comes from for it, whether it comes from the rate-paying base or whether it comes from sponsorship or external support, that is something that we're taking on board, and so your submission is very timely indeed. But it is, I want to reiterate, there is no intention of leaving it to the sector to do that, and at the end of the day, it's going to have to come back to us if we don't achieve what we achieve. But we weren't going to leave that with central government in terms of just getting the movement that we needed to get moving on the centre. So, and I mean, councillors wouldn't have been over the detail of this at all. So, your submission would have been news to everyone around the table except for those of us who were at the announcement, because we had a spokesperson from the Disabled Sporting organisation who acknowledged that that was the case and was very confident also that the funding would be there. So it's not an intention to leave out, it's an intention to change the way we fund that component of it. And we did actually think it was the easiest thing to fundraise for.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that position. I guess it's just long term. Well, for one, it's the PR of it. You've chosen the one thing designed specifically for people with high needs that needs to source different funding, I guess.
No, but that's why it's the easiest thing to fundraise for.
I know, it is easy
we can't
initially.
We can't fund for...
Spoken to you today and updated you on all of this, so you're aware of the situation. It's not the only area where some of the fittings and equipment are being fundraised for, so it's not the only area.
It's the only water area. That's what I...
Yeah, but there's also other areas in the area, and it's certainly not being left to the sector to identify.
No.
It's actually there's going to be a fundraising approach led by council to develop that, and it's not sitting with the sector at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Aaron.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I don't like it because it feels like a bit of labelling, and I think you've kind of said that. 7 years ago, when we had Share an Idea, everyone in the city was invited to dream of the city we could have. Can you give us a rating on where you think disability people sit in that city now and how they feel about the city that's being delivered?
I will take
Feel
that.
free.
I'm really happy to take that. I think it's a 5 or a 6. I think it's a 5 or a 6 out of 10 because we haven't got consistency. We know the building code is out of date, but we're not. I think the City Council, I'll wind back, but I think the City Council has been fantastic at working with us in terms of accessibility charter and in terms of people getting behind these issues. But I think that the result is still really haphazard in terms of an accessible city. So the intent is there, some of the structures are outdated, and what I'm seeing as a disabled person is no, it's not completely accessible. So, and I don't want the city built for me. I'm 50 now, and I want to make sure
That ain't that old.
that the children that I'm supporting now, working with now, are adults in a beautiful, accessible city. So, yeah, I would say a 5 or a 6. I think that I'm tough. I saw Dancing with the Stars last night, but you know, I think that I want to see the city accessible because I want to work in it. I want to pay rates. I want to contribute. You know, so I would give it a 5 or a 6. I don't know if you'd be that mean, Amy.
No, probably that close. Yeah.
So when you have a council that prides itself on creating equity for everyone, we've still got a wee way to go.
And I think for me, the word is access. And if I can speak really briefly, I mean, when I remember Share an Idea, and we've used that as a starting point for lots of our work, I think that accessibility was seen as quite, you know, it wasn't deemed as just for disabled people, like it was seen as mobility around the city for buses. You know, so the accessibility, you know, plan turned into a bus strategy or a public transport strategy. So I think we really need to be careful and clear about what we mean about accessibility.
Yanni?
Thank you. I guess just to reassure you that the limited Wilson pool design hasn't been developed yet, but that community board who've got the delegation are very keen to make sure that it is completely accessible for or barrier free. So we're working really aware of that. Just the two other things in your submission. One, you've touched on one major facility, but other facilities like the town hall and the library, have you had involvement? Do you have any concerns?
Yes. Sorry. No, we haven't had any involvement along the way with the library or the town hall. The library did come and present to our network in December last year, and I don't know if they were completely confident on their understanding of accessibility either, and we did have a few issues around employment and things like that. I have personally done a tour of the town hall, but otherwise haven't been involved with the design process of that at all. Is
there anything short term that, I don't know, I just want be ashamed to open these two new facilities shortly and not have not have them as accessible as possible?
I mean, we do have an advisory group that provides advice, so I'm just a little unclear as to the difference. Sorry, I'm just at a little bit of a loss as to.
The Council's Disability Advisory Group doesn't provide technical advice. It provides advice on day-to-day workings of the council business. So it's I understand that there has been technical advice, but
barrier-free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just sharing what that's going to look like, I think, to the sector before facilities open would be great to give them assurances of what they can expect when they get there. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I would love to promote this accessible city.
Yeah, and the other one is you talked about shared pathways, but in your written submission, but you didn't really go into it much in your verbal. Do you want to just give us a quick snapshot of your thinking?
Shared pathways. Oh dear. We have been involved in submissions on a lot of accessible city transport projects and footpaths and cycleways. We absolutely advocate for separated cycleways in the city. The problem with the shared pathway, particularly when you have disabled people with low vision or a vision impaired, it's really hard to navigate. You know, you think you're in a safe place by being on a footpath that has, and you have certain expectations when travelling along those footpaths. You get into a shared space where then you've also got cyclists to compete with, and there's still not clear etiquette on how to use those. And I've talked a lot in the Transport Liaison group about some education programs on how people use cycleways and how people use shared paths. I think one of our biggest areas of concern is where you have shared zones that are pedestrians, cyclists and vehicles, and there are a few of those popping up. I think there's going to be, in front of the Bridge of Remembrance is one, and then there's going to be some around the convention centre. That is a real concern on how people utilise those spaces, because if you have someone with a vision impairment who thinks they are stepping, if they're still on their footpath and they're in the middle of the road, how are they going to know that? And we recently also did a submission on Hereford Street, and there are some crossings but no signalised crossings halfway along the blocks. So how do people use that? How do people know when to cross safely, and how do people know how to interact together? And I just don't think we have that yet when shared spaces are involved.
I think one of the things that has been done on a positive note is the removal of the free left turns and the replacement with the signalised crossings. So with the free left turns, it's exactly as you say. You don't know that you're safe to cross.
Yes.
And
no, agreed. Yeah, we were pleased with the Kilmore Street outcome with that.
That's great. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in, and we'll certainly follow up on that issue. I think that releasing the barrier-free advice, I think, would be. I don't see that there's a problem with that. So, and if that would give reassurance to the sector, then I'm all for that. So,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I please make one more statement about the community that you're helping fundraise for in terms of the sensory experience? And it's a nuance, and I know that maybe people haven't thought about it, but that group of people, a lot of those people won't use words to communicate.
Right.
Won't be verbal.
Yeah.
So I'm just aware that that's the most marginalised community that may not have their voice heard. I mean, I can get my voice heard really clearly, but that community can't. So
Right.
I just ask you to consider that.
That's lovely. Thank
you.
you very much. Thank you. I don't. Is Kirsten Dingle here yet? No.